Gartner estimates like 30%, close to 30% of cloud resources in various companies is lightly or relatively unused.
When you get a new client and you install your software to monitor it, like what's their reaction?
We have our vision on what the models will be 3 months down the line. They will be much better than what they are today. Although AI is so much capable, one of the biggest use cases of AI is code autocomplete. AI is giving you is basically an average application. Its training data is all of the internet. Going back to its non-deterministic nature, it is autonomous in a way. Like, the more autonomy we can give to AI in a responsible manner, the more essentially magic we can see happen.
What if AI could take over the most tedious parts of DevOps, from spotting cloud waste to auto-generating infrastructure configs, and do it better than humans? That's exactly what Ardhendu Tripathy is working on as an AI lead at OpsCanvas. Ardi shares how OpsCanvas is transforming DevOps, cutting cloud waste, and redefining how teams deploy and manage infrastructure. Stick around till the end. We dive into a fascinating idea. Will future DevOps teams be made up of specialized AI agents, each doing one piece of the puzzle? I'm Vitaliy Lyoshin, and this is an Hour of Innovation podcast. Let me know your thoughts or questions in the comments, and give this episode a like. Now, enjoy this conversation with Ardi. Welcome, Ardi. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Vit, for the invitation. It is a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Nice to have you. So you've been doing a lot of work in academia and research, and what drove you to transition to startups?
Yeah, no, it's a great question, and thinking of my own career trajectory in the space and AI as it is today, I think for me, I felt that exploring the benefit and of AI in actual real world applications was a big driver for my career progress. And in a startup, you are in this enviable situation of having to define your problem, having to define your product market fit, and all that, while at the same time being nimble enough to try out new technologies as they come up. So um, for me, I thought that was a perfect fit.
Okay, great. It's a new journey right now for you. That's great. So can you tell us a little bit about what OpsCanvas is and what specific problems you're solving?
Yeah. So we like to think of OpsCanvas as a cloud deployment platform. And so what do I mean by that? Basically, we would like to solve the problem that many companies and many clients face today, and which is that of cloud sprawl. And so when you're building applications or you're building your own features, it's very easy to spin up new resources and multiple replicas of those resources as you're going through your development lifecycle. And at some point, a lot of the operations becomes making sure that all the pieces are in place for an application to be successfully deployed. And so a lot of this results in extraneous resources which are there running in the cloud but are probably not used as much. So for example, Gartner estimates like 30%, close to 30% of cloud resources in various companies is lightly or relatively unused. And so what OpsCanvas does is it gives you visibility into your cloud resources grouped by applications. So if a company is building 5 different SaaS products and they maintain, let's say, 3 different environments for each one of their products, they get a one-stop view of all of these 15 variations of their applications and environments in a easily digestible manner. So once you have that visibility, then you can get insights such as how much are these environments costing you on a monthly basis in terms of your cloud bill? What are the different resources that are associated with each one of these applications? And what applications, which if you want to suddenly scale up, you can easily clone an existing running environment and make a new one. So all of this functionality of software deployment is made easier by using OpsCanvas platform.
I see. So it's basically like for DevOps, obviously, for administrating your environments, seeing how much it costs, what resources and whatnot. And if something unused or forgotten, you can easily kill it and don't spend money on it. Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. So,
Yeah.
and then just to make it even more clear, I guess, can you walk us through a little like common use case of how somebody would use it and what would they track and how they would set it up?
Yeah, right. So we have our OpsCanvas images that customers or clients can invoke in their CI/CD pipeline. So, for example, if a customer is using a GitHub action workflow or a GitLab pipeline in which they have some type of release strategy, a common one is, let's say, when a merge request or a pull request was merged into the main branch, the protected main branch, then a new version of this application is rolled out to the environments, is deployed in various environments. And so now what customers can do is that in the deploy stage, if they're using, for example, if they're setting up some infrastructure for the deployment, which is like using Terraform or OpenTofu, then their deploy stage or job in their pipeline would be basically calling Terraform and setting up the infrastructure. And now instead of calling Terraform, they can use OpsCanvas OC to perform the same operation. Likewise, if the infrastructure is already up and they want to update the image on a running pod, then, or they want to make a new service in, let's say, a Kubernetes cluster, then they would use something like, let's say, Helm install. And instead of performing Helm install, now they can use OpsCanvas or OC install. Now, the benefit of using OC in place of Helm or Tofu is that when you use OC to do that operation, it does the same exact operation as Tofu or Hem, but at the same time, it continuously tracks what was successfully deployed and why it was successfully deployed associated with what. So all that metadata information that is lost or is only present in logs that are disparate, now it is collected and put together in a centralized database. So you asked about how it looks in the day-to-day. In the day-to-day, a customer could use OC to deploy their new application. Let's say they had a new feature that they added to it. And then once they have done that, then they can monitor the health of that application, for example, from the website, from the web page of OpsCanvas. If they think that it is working well, then they can easily clone that running environment and make a new replica of it using the exact same list of resources as the running one. And on the other hand, if something is not looking good, then they can easily roll back to a previous version of the application. And all of this is possible because we keep track of the information, all the metadata. So essentially, we can, with the help of the database that we have, that we store information as customers use, we can perform these one-click actions such as promote, clone, delete, and so on. And because you now, suppose you're using OpsCanvas, then you can exactly know which cloud resources are associated with which application or which environment of a running application, right? So
Mm-hmm.
so I have, like, in my cloud, in my AWS account, let's say I have like 5 different database engines running, and I don't know, I mean, in the AWS bill, I don't know which applications those 5 databases are supporting just by the
Mm-hmm.
AWS bill. But in OpsCanvas, I get the view of application tiles. And if there is an application, I don't know, service XYZ, then service XYZ has a particular database associated with it, and that link is already made and is accessible to me from OpsCanvas.
Okay, so what would you say? So you named a couple of other products like Terraform, for example, that kind of do similar things, right? What would you say is your where you better? What is difference with you? Is it this visualization on logs or anything else?
Yeah. So I think what we can think of is that Terraform is just a tool that you use to stand up infrastructure and pull them down in a repeatable manner. And
Mm-hmm.
OpsCanvas is very well aware of this tool. If tomorrow someone is using OpenTofu in place of Terraform, then we can easily swap out that tool, and OpsCanvas can work
Mm-hmm.
with OpenTofu instance. If today someone is using Helm, then OpsCanvas wraps around Helm. If they want to get more into Argo or some other kinds of deployment tools, then basically OpsCanvas wraps around those tools. Now, to answer your question, what is different? We are building on top of these tools, which are well established in the industry. And the
Mm-hmm.
benefit of building on top of these is that it is easy for our customers to adopt OpsCanvas. So they don't have to learn a new software to be able to make their deployments. If they're using Tofu or if they're using Terraform, they're good to go. They can just
Mm-hmm.
drop in OC and use it. And so it's easy for adoption. But on the flip side, uh, now you don't have to worry about the information that was stored in disparate instances of, you don't you ran Tofu once from that machine and from this machine, and now you have to somehow reconcile the state and so on. And so OpsCanvas, you can think of it as keep giving you the state information of all of your applications in your company, whereas
Mm-hmm.
Tofu gives you state information of one particular application. So if you ran Tofu init and Tofu apply, then it's managing the state of that particular application.
Mm-hmm.
So application A will have some state file, B will have a different state file, C will have a third different state file. And what OpsCanvas does is it brings all of it together. Now, why bringing it all
I see.
together is why is it useful? Because now when you have this visibility, when you know that all these databases are associated with service A, B, and C, then you get more confidence that you're using your cloud effectively. It's not
Mm-hmm.
that there are five
Got it.
databases that are just running and we don't know which applications they are supporting. So that would be a wasted spend. And in
Mm-hmm.
fact, we call those wasted spend, we call them zombie resources. So they're
Mm-hmm.
just running and draining your cloud budget, but they're not giving you any functionality in return. So what we can do is we can scan all the resources in your cloud and identify which are the zombie resources.
Okay, so I imagine this is beneficial to business people as well as to tech people, right? They can also look
Yes,
at that and like save money, for example. Yeah, got it.
absolutely. So engineering managers, technical program managers, or even individual contributors. So we have a command line interface. So developers can directly start working with OC in their command line interface in the terminal. We
Mm-hmm.
have a graphical interface that's our web front end, where all this cost information and application information is shown in a graphical, easy to digest manner. So that gives a good summary for engineering managers, for example.
Mm-hmm. I see. Who would you say your like target customers? Would it be startups or would it be big organizations with a lot of resources?
Yeah. So that's always a great question for a startup. And so so for now we think that we can easily solve the pain points that many small and medium sized businesses face. Big companies like Walmart or Starbucks, they will, or Capital One, they will have their own in-house built-in deployment strategies. They would have a lot of internal know-how, and all of that internal know-how is basically trying to solve this problem of gaining visibility into the many applications that they have to
Mhm.
support. But when small and medium-sized businesses who do not have the resources to be able to develop that strong of a internal knowledge base, we can really come in and give them that basic foundation so that they can be confident that they're not spending wastefully on their cloud bill, uh, which is very important for small and medium sized businesses, and that they have a good sort of template of using Terraform or Helm so that they can do their deployments in a repeatable manner. They don't have to worry about a new feature always breaking the build, let's say.
Mhm. I see. So let's talk about how you leverage AI to help with all of that. If you can explain how you use AI in that.
Yeah. So I'm the AI lead at OpsCanvas, and basically, as AI lead, I have a pretty broad mandate. I am very heavily involved in the actual engineering, so I'm a part of the engineering team. So I'm a software engineer in that respect, and at the same
Mhm.
time, so I have a very good view of the nuts and bolts of our OpsCanvas application. And at the same time, my mandate is to identify areas where AI could help in help our customers, help OpsCanvas as a company itself. And so there are many different avenues in which AI is helpful. So, for example, right now, I talked about using OC in the CI/CD pipelines, like GitLab pipeline or GitHub Action workflow. And so, one of the AI features that we have developed is called the installer. And what the installer does is that it analyzes a customer's CI/CD pipeline and identifies where OpsCanvas can be invoked inside their CI/CD pipeline. It automatically makes that change to the customer CI/CD pipeline, and then shows it to the customer for review through either a merge request or a pull request. So what the installer does is it dramatically reduces the uh, time to value for our customers. They don't have to figure out where to invoke OpsCanvas or how to invoke OpsCanvas. They can just ask the
Mhm.
installer to install OpsCanvas in their pipeline. And if everything works out well, then the installation has succeeded and they can start getting the benefits. All that telemetry and collection of data and centralization of the resources is available. So AI, of course, is getting more and more capable by the day. Uh, this is one of the first AI features that we have engineered and is live right now in OpsCanvas, but we have our sights on many different aspects uh, within the DevOps space. So we would like to make DevOps be uh, less error prone, less amount of manual fudzing around. As much as possible, we can use AI to, for example, verify certain configurations or even generate the configurations so that it's the human operators can review them, and they don't have to. We want to minimize the amount of toil that DevOps engineers face in today's ecosystem. And so there are many avenues of AI that we are exploring. So I mentioned about generating, for example, configurations, automatically generating configurations
Mhm.
by parsing source code. Another AI feature that we have on our roadmap is identifying a more intelligent version of zombies. So zombie
Mhm.
resources are those resources which are running in the cloud but are not really helping your product in any way. And that's
Mm-hmm.
mainly because they were provisioned some time back, but they then fell off the radar. Nobody was monitoring them, and everyone is afraid to delete because they don't know which downstream task will be affected by its deletion. So, which is in some sense a visibility problem. They don't know what this resource is affecting. It's invisible. So,
Mm-hmm.
um, so we are looking at identifying these zombies in a more intelligent manner. For example, if there are certain resources that are used in applications, we can actually use AI to look at the usage statistics and then decide if this
Mm-hmm.
resource was provisioned at the right size or capacity. You don't need a 50 gigabyte database for every small microservice that you have deployed. And most of the
Mm-hmm.
time, these values are chosen at the time of deployment in one of those configuration files. And maybe what was chosen at the time of deployment is no longer valid, and maybe that should be
Mm-hmm.
revisited. But who's going to keep track that, oh, we set this value, we will revisit it 2 months later? I mean, honestly, that doesn't happen. And so we'd like AI to be proactive in that and to
Right.
alert the teams. And so these are like three different, for example, AI initiatives that we are working
Yeah.
on.
I wonder actually when you get a new client and you install your software to monitor it, like what's their reaction, and how when they see all these zombies and all these unused resources, what they say to you.
Yeah, yeah. So um, we didn't know.
We
That's
didn't know. Okay.
yeah. That's the response. And I mean that essentially comes down to visibility. It wasn't visible, and um, uh, it's just hard to keep track of these things. And I would say
Right.
AI can help us a lot in keeping track of these things, which humans should not be doing. Like,
Yeah.
making sure things are right sized, making sure extraneous environments that were, stood up for some development purpose are taken down. Optimizing the cost usage, checking the cost reports. So, anyways, these are all uh, and for example, generating the values files needed to make the application work. In modern
Yeah.
applications, each application will have so many services, microservices inside them, and then
Hmm.
making sure that all of the microservices can talk to each other and are correctly configured is another task that contributes to the toil of that DevOps engineers face. And so making
Yeah.
that process easy. So yeah. Um, but certainly,
So
coming back to
yeah.
the zombies, yeah, it's a big cost savings, and surely our customers were like, oh, we didn't know.
Yeah. Were there any challenges implementing AI to DevOps platforms or
Oh,
pipelines? I would imagine there are some like restrictions from customers, certain areas they want to keep private, maybe they don't want to like install anybody, especially AI. Some people like, no, don't go, don't like you're gonna train on my data, you're gonna steal it or whatever. So,
yeah,
what were
yeah,
the
yeah.
challenges there?
Those absolutely, you're absolutely right. AI is capable, but we gotta use it responsibly. And
Yeah.
one of the factors of using it responsibly is to make sure we have correct provenance of data. So we want to make sure that AI is not used on proprietary or very, or I should not say proprietary. AI is not used on personally identifiable information, PII.
Mm-hmm.
And with regards to, for example, source code analysis or pipeline analysis, these are proprietary code that companies have developed. And so we are very clear upfront with our clients that none of the proprietary information is coming to OpsCanvas. It is directly being sent, analyzed through the AI, and the AI that we use is from AWS, the Amazon Web Services Bedrock, and which has strong privacy guarantees, meaning that none of the data that is sent to AWS servers is used for training the AI or
Mhm.
improving it in any way or form. So, uh, that is critical, and that establishing that, making sure that that is clear is very important. Having said that, that's just the first part, or first hurdle, let's say, of using AI. AI, as we all know, is
Mhm.
can create errors. It is prone to hallucination, and if it hallucinates something in your configuration for your application, well, that results in your application not running. And so it is a costly mistake,
Yeah.
especially in provisioning infrastructure. So we that is why we scope AI to only work on areas where the chance of this costly mistake is minimized. For example, if we talk about the pipeline, CI/CD pipeline analysis, we are just in that particular use case, we are not setting any of the IAC configurations. The IAC configuration, for example, if they're using Terraform, the TFVAR files or the Terraform files, those are not being modified in any way by our AI. What our AI
Mhm.
is doing is simply changing the tofu command or helm command to the OpsCanvas OC command. So which is a it is not, for example, setting a new value for the size of your database. No. So, and
Mhm.
once it does that, it can be we the reason we have this AI feature is, and we are confident about this AI feature, is because we have several checks and balances. We have guardrails to make sure that, okay, once the pipeline file has been edited, is it still valid YAML? Is it still a valid GitHub action workflow file? So we lint the file, we make sure that it is still valid, it follows the correct syntax, and the only changes that are made are in the script section. So we have a bunch of these guardrails in place, which with which we work. So AI, when we use in any space, and especially more in the DevOps automation space, when we use AI, we have lots of checks to ensure that none of the hallucinations that it often creates would impact our customers. Having said
Yeah,
that,
that's
the
great.
AI itself is improving every day, every month. So the newer models are better at making fewer hallucinations and so on. And so when you're building AI features, we have our vision on what the models will be 3 months down the line. They will be much better than what they are today. And so we are developing our features, imagining that we will have this better AI. And at the same time, we'll have these guardrails
Yeah.
regardless of the AI we use.
Yeah, that's great. I talked with other startups and technologists who building something with AI, and everybody kind of keep repeating this, that we have to double check what they're doing, because we've seen examples how it creates something that we don't want, right?
Yeah.
Nicely put. So we should have some sort of check and balances, whether AI double checking AI or people doing that, verifying that, or like in your case, you're not gonna like check in any code. You're gonna open PR and people are looking at it to make sure nothing is broken or
Yep. That's
something
their
isn't
key.
valid, or things like that.
That's exactly right. So uh, we are confident that the edited pipeline will be correct, because that's because we have a lot of programmatic checks in place.
Mm-hmm.
But as you pointed out, at the end of the day, it's a merge request. It gets reviewed as any other code, and so it gets the human stamp of approval, if you may, at that point.
So, given our optimistic view to the future and AI is getting better and better, do you think it will be possible to automate more and more of DevOps jobs and tasks, like beyond check-in deployments and something else, maybe?
Yeah, yeah. So I would say, like, DevOps is a hard domain to automate more of, and especially because of all the
Mm-hmm.
issues we just discussed. A small misconfiguration can be very hard to debug actually. And so I would say that
Mm-hmm.
compared to, let's say, you know, meeting summarization, or document summarization, or
Yeah.
search, or chatbots, compared to those types of applications, AI and DevOps will take some time. um, it won't automate as much of the job as soon as we think. Having said that, uh, when certain tasks get automated in DevOps, let's say, the benefit of that is just going to be so huge, because DevOps is something that every
Mm-hmm.
company, every software company, and otherwise anyone with a software product is dealing with, is actually working with. And so, the if you think of on the economy, the amount of let's say GDP improvement due to some small advantage, some small automation in DevOps, can be huge, significantly high compared to, say, for example, other more flashy demos, for example.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not very different from what we are seeing even today. Even today, although AI is so much capable, one of the biggest use cases of AI is code autocomplete, and
Yeah.
which is basically helping software engineers either write new code much faster than before, or test it much more extensively than before, and so on, or bring up to speed, bring act as a sort of interactive documentation for a code repository. So I think those benefits of AI are reverberating throughout the economy, and we will see the improved GDP to do that. However, coming back to your original question about DevOps and how much of that can get automated, I feel that with the correct ideas in place, many things will get automated over time, but DevOps will be slightly slower, I believe, but still the trend is there. And I would say
Mm-hmm.
that DevOps engineers of the future will just be so much more capable because of these new tools. So there will still be a requirement of DevOps engineers, but they will be assisted by AI agents, essentially
Mm-hmm.
AI DevOps agents, if you will,
Yeah.
which can
I
monitor
see.
deployments and flag certain things for the human DevOps engineer to check, or the human DevOps engineer can delegate. They know that this AI agent can do this deployment correctly, so I'm going to delegate
Mm-hmm.
the operation to the agent.
Do you see there any areas in DevOps where we should not be messing with AI and just let humans continue dealing with? Are there certain areas like that?
Yeah, that's a hard question to answer, because that is
Like
effectively
maybe it's
saying,
too dangerous.
maybe, yeah, for sure. Like, for example, maybe it's too dangerous today for people to write people to use AI to write IAC, infrastructure as code. People can still
Mm-hmm.
do that. I mean, you can ask any of the modern large language models to, you know okay, I have a diagram of, let's say, some cloud native application. Maybe it uses, S3 bucket, load balancer, things like that. And then I have a diagram like this, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna send that diagram to the chatbot and ask it to, hey, please write the Terraform, so that, or cloud formation, whatever, so that it'll stand up this infrastructure. And you can do that today. Um, and it'll do something. It'll, and most likely it'll be fine. But you must realize that what the AI is giving you is basically an average application. Its training data is all of the internet,
Mm-hmm.
and so it includes, for example, AWS docs and other kinds of example repositories, and it's giving you a sort of average of those. And maybe that average can have mistakes in it, so that would be maybe easy to find out. Maybe it didn't compile or whatever, and you fixed it. But even if there are no such syntax mistakes, it is still an average. It's not tailored to your application, right? So
Mm-hmm.
your application expects to store this much data, or this volume of data, and so that determines what size of database you should have. But the AI, if it is not told that requirement, then it's just going to give you an
Right.
average value. So Yeah, I would say like there are. I think AI in DevOps very much needs to be in pair with DevOps engineer. Like DevOps engineer needs to be in the loop
Mm-hmm.
currently. Uh, there are and OpsCanvas in fact is working towards making agents that can do work a little bit more autonomously. You don't need human to constantly supervise them. But at least today, that that reality is not there. And with regards to your question about what AI we should not be used at, well, in the future that answer is going to change. So today I said about
Sure.
IAC and all that, but in the I think just last month was it I attended the AWS summit in DC, and people were using Amazon Q, which is their large language model, to
Mm-hmm.
basically design VPCs and make network connections. So designing network access routes and rules and so on. And I mean, those are like highly like, if you make a mistake one, you won't be able to connect to it. So, but AWS has enough confidence in their queue that they're demonstrating that now. So the capabilities are constantly increasing.
Hmm.
But at the end of the day,
Yeah.
only you know the business problem you're solving. What's the volume of data, what kind of data, and that determines what kind of database you need to have. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So it looks like maybe in the future we will need to have a series of different agents responsible for certain areas, right? And one agent will be responsible to gather those requirements, pass it on to the next one, and the next one writes the configs with correct things, and the next one then monitors it and provides suggestions or whatnot. So it's the same with people, basically. Different people responsible for different parts to some degree. So I guess it's not just one thing that's going to solve it all. It's going to be many different agents that doing one thing or two things maybe and things like that. Yeah,
Absolutely,
that's great.
absolutely. That is
Yeah,
exactly right. And that
yeah.
also makes and that you can see that why guardrails become more important there, because an
Hmm.
agent which is tasked for a one particular type of job will have a different set of guardrails than an agent which is doing something else.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. Are there any other areas potentially for Ops Canvas to expand in DevOps? Like you mentioned a couple of things in the future on your roadmap, but like on a global scale, is there anything exciting that you like thinking about? Like maybe one day we can do this, that will be so cool.
Yeah. So today we support automatic discovery of cloud resources, and we support
Mm-hmm.
uh, and so from that we can identify what we call zombie resources. These are the unused or lightly used resources which you can
Mm-hmm.
remove or right size. And so in the future roadmap we envision more more towards automated deployments. So uh, imagine a future in which once a developer thinks of a feature and codes it up and pushes it to a branch and then just points OpsCanvas to that branch, and OpsCanvas figures out from that code change what configuration needs to change so as to support this feature. So for example, if a new feature required a new type of database, or if the new feature required access to a large language model, a new large language model, and so OpsCanvas looks at that code change and understands that, okay, we need to ask for permission for access to this new endpoint. And so uh, once OpsCanvas understands that, then it can make the configuration changes automatically, which can then be reviewed by either the developer or the ops engineer. And or for
Mm-hmm.
example, you have a running environment in which you want to add a new feature. So essentially, I would say, on the whole, we are enabling developers of the future to uh, quickly deploy their features. So the friction that exists between coming up with the actual feature or code, source code, the friction between that and the deployment where it's actually live and can help customers, that friction is too high. And
Mhm.
anything that we can do to reduce that friction, using AI, using smart defaults, using knowledge bases and existing patterns, all of them are fair game. And so
Yeah.
we are working using AI and non AI methods to reduce this friction.
Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a great, it's like a sweet spot right now because with all this hype that's going on with helping software engineers to write faster code with vibe coding and many, many tools that exist today, people going to be writing code very fast. Instead of like weeks and months, we're going to see fully functional apps and features in hours, essentially, or days maybe at
Yeah.
the latest. And they will need to be deployed really quick and make sure nothing is broken, make sure they work, right? So it's if that's the bottleneck now, that DevOps deployment and like setting up all these
Yep.
environments and whatnot, then that's the sweet spot to fix. That's great.
Yeah, that's exactly our
So
view. Yeah.
yeah, and at the end here, I just have a couple of like more maybe like more personal questions or
Sure.
for you. So, like, what is the most exciting thing for you right now with this work that you're doing, like messing with AI and DevOps and optimizing all these things? What excites you the most?
What excites me the most? Well, I even seeing the AI feature work. When you have thought through, so imagine as an engineer you have a requirements, and then from the requirements you decide, okay, this is going to be my implementation plan. I'm going to achieve A, then B, then C, and that will satisfy the requirements. But with AI, the B and C parts of it are non-deterministic. So
Mhm.
it's almost like, oh, will it really work the way I think it should? And so that's why we have the guardrails and all that stuff in place. And so when you see that process finally come together and actually work, I mean, that's a great sense of accomplishment. I feel, at
Mhm.
least I felt. And so um, I think that uh, is really exciting to me. But what looking forward, so that's something that I get excited of when something is close to finishing or is finished.
Mhm.
But looking ahead, I feel that AI is this sort of, again, going back to its non-deterministic nature. It is autonomous in a way. Like the more autonomy we can give to AI in a responsible manner, the more essentially magic we can see happen. And so
Mhm.
Andre Karpathy had this nice talk recently in which he talked about autonomy slider, how every AI forward product, like you have these AI editors like Cursor, and you have these other AI search engines like Perplexity, in some way or form, they give you this autonomy slider, which is that the user can decide how much autonomy I want from the AI.
Mhm.
And so we want to expose that autonomy slider to DevOps engineers. If DevOps engineers feel that, hey, this part of the product is really critical and I need to verify for 100% everything, they want zero autonomy. If they know that, oh, this is a very simple thing, it has been done in the past successfully, they will give 100% autonomy because they know in the past it has worked successfully. So for DevOps engineer to be able to make that call, ultimately the call lies with them because they are responsible for what
Mhm.
happens to their product. And so surfacing this autonomy slider to DevOps engineers, and what that means behind the scenes. Behind the scenes, it means that you need to constrain AI to different degrees. So what does
Mhm.
what does zero autonomy mean? What does it mean in AI? Like, what do you constrain it to, and versus what is 100? So it's an interesting question. I don't have the answers. I just have a lot of questions, and so that's what
Okay.
makes it partly exciting.
Yeah, the time will show, right?
The time will show. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So the like you mentioned before a few minutes ago, AI is developing or enhancing itself, I would say, or whatever the term is, improving so fast. How do you keep up with it? How do you plan your roadmap, let's say 3 months ahead, if you know that there will be new model that will exceed everybody's expectation. Like, how do you keep up with this?
Yeah, so that's a great question. AI development is so fast, and there is a lot of technical stuff. For a small startup like ours, it's impossible to keep up with AI as it works. So, um, I think one of the things we must realize that yes, AI is developing very fast, and yet AI is not there at full intelligence yet. So what everybody understands what full intelligence, or most people understand what full intelligence means, like what they expect the AI to behave, look, and behave, and we all know that that's not the case today. So when we are designing features, we think ahead about, okay, what can the AI be capable, or what can a human do in this situation? So we always start from there. So if a human, what is the human doing today? And if what the human is doing today is a well recognized pattern, is somehow we can code that pattern in some way or form, then we are confident that AI, even today's AI, if we can appropriately code the pattern, even today's AI will be able to solve the problem. The issue comes up when you can either cannot appropriately code the pattern, or the solution has to work in the middle of many things. So it has to interface with many things, and so it's not like a isolated component. So those are the main cases where AI today, even if you give it all the context and everything, it may make mistakes. And so those are the things we expect that in the
Mm-hmm.
future, as AI gets better, much of this improvement is just going to be like better tool calling, better interfacing. You may have heard of model context protocol. So
Mm-hmm.
better use of connections to other data sources. And the thing is, we don't have to worry about that because the big labs are worrying about that. So they are making the AI models better because they know that they need that. And we are
Mm-hmm.
just piggybacking on top. So we know what aspects they're trying to improve. The benchmarks are out there. Many of those benchmarks are not at 100%. So there is still improvement to be had. So we know what the big labs are working towards. And so we try to identify a feature that takes advantage of those
I see.
proposed improvements.
Yeah, we can only imagine what they were gonna come up with. So it's always exciting to hear when they release something new and how people
Yeah,
jump on it. So,
and the other thing is one axis is model capability, the other axis is price. So
mm-hmm.
the same model 3 months ago was 5 times more expensive. So imagine an AI feature today that uses 10,000 tokens. Maybe today it is not economically feasible for your company.
Mm-hmm.
But 2 or 3 months down the line, the price may very well come down, and it's much more in the realm of economic feasibility. So that's
Mm-hmm.
another axis which is very important when we think of AI features.
Yeah, that's so true. The price will go down as we get more energy, more
And it
cheaper
has gone
energy, and
down
things
quite
like
a
that.
lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. All right. So the final one for you is what is one misconception that you would like to clarify for people about AI in DevOps?
I see. So let's say one misconception. Yeah, I can. Okay, so let me. Maybe there will be a couple. I don't know, but I'll just get started off the top of my
Okay.
head. But basically, and this is not specific to DevOps, but like generally, it's software engineering in general.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, things that we expect computers to be good at, like for example, search and retrieval, and calculation, math calculation, or logic.
Mm-hmm.
And so these things that we traditionally expect computers to be good at, uh, that's not really the strong suit of large language models.
Mm.
Today, large language models, if you pose them a logic puzzle, they are more likely to write a computer program that solves the puzzle rather than actually solve the puzzle in their chain of thought.
Mm.
So whenever you're working with AI and you're working, say you want you get some suggestion from the AI that, okay, this is a good design pattern. In the back of the mind, sometimes people think that, oh, it's a computer, it has all the docs, it has everything, so surely what it is giving me should be correct. But that's not the case. I mean, I guess this is again what people say, that you should always check the AI output, right? So this, I guess, sort of more elaborate version of that. But basically, just because you know that the AI can access the docs does not mean that it gets the correct doc, or even gets the correct information. Um, Moving beyond that, like a lot of people talk about AI as a pair programming partner and designer and so on. But you can imagine that, okay, you, instead of you yourself talking with AI, if you had two different AIs talk with each other, and then you can see for yourself that the output is going to be different, then the same AI will critique the output that the previous AI gave, even if they are the same model, right? So I guess the point is that at the end of the day, it is just a statistical pattern generator which has been trained on all of internet. So it's the average. So you're getting the average. So you're not getting the best, or you're not getting the most performant. You're getting the average, and sometimes average is good enough, right? And but many times it's not. And so that is the, I guess, sort of thing about AI that people should know about. Like, if you really need high performance and all, either you have a human in the loop who can prompt correctly, verify the answers, if needed, restart the chat because the context has been polluted, or if there is a programmatic way of checking. For example, you use as you mentioned, LLM as a judge. So for example, you have a different model critique this particular model's response, or you have some basic test cases and you check that, oh, it's passing or not passing, and then give that feedback back. So I would say that is maybe one misconception, maybe.
That's a very good point, an important point, because many people rely so much on, even like in personal life, chatting with ChatGPT for everyday questions and things like that. And it sometimes says weird things. Like, I will give you an example. I was working on a web page one time, and I asked like the result, I dropped it back, and I asked like, what do you think about it? And it started writing some weird things about it. And I said, where did you get it? Did you even look at the web page? And then ChatGPT response was like, oh, no, I actually made it up. I didn't look at the web page, but this is like the best practices of how you should build this page. I'm like, come on, man. I asked you specifically to look at the page. So it figures out a way around the actual truth and tells you something that is like not always the truth. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
All right. Thanks, Ardi, for your time. It was great talking to you. Wealth of knowledge, learning about OpsCanvas. I wish you all the best. And we hope to keep in touch with you and see what's coming in the future.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was a pleasure talking to you, Vit. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Thank you very much. Talk to you later. Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for tuning in into this conversation with Ardi. I hope this episode gave you fresh insights and inspiration. If you know someone who's drowning in cloud complexity or curious about AI and infrastructure, share this episode with them. It might spark their next big idea. Don't forget to follow or subscribe and leave a quick review. It really helps others find the show. Thanks again, and I'll catch you next time on An Hour of Innovation.